nurse, we're gonna call him Brad. Brad said that you know, didn't count the medications, which I was like, What's up, you guys? It's your girl Flawless K here, and I'm back with another video. I know that I have been gone and I haven't been, you're like, where have you been, sis? But there has been so much going on, so much has been happening with my job, and that just kind of pushed me back, and I wasn't able to have the time to make these lovely videos for you guys. But I'm back. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to join my growing family, guys. And so let's get into the video. It's that time of the year. People have graduated. Some of you all have passed your NCLEX. Don't forget to check out my NCLEX tips video if you haven't already, if you are preparing to take your NCLEX test. Some of you all have already found your first nursing job and you're getting ready to start. Well, I have some tips for you. So the first tip of being a new grad, or how to survive being a new grad, is make sure that you review your materials. You've learned so much information in nursing school, so whichever specialty or whichever area that you have ventured off into, it's very important to just take some time out to look over that section. For me, I ended up getting tossed into a specialty and becoming a nephrology nurse. So although I did learn some things about the kidneys in nursing school, I wasn't 100% like knowing all the information. So I did have to study and review some things about dialysis, some things about chronic kidney disease, some things about just the kidneys in general, and it helped me learn why my patients' labs were always out of whack, or why this was this way, and that helped me better care for my patients so that I can understand why they're going through whatever they're going through. So it doesn't matter if you're in a labor and delivery nurse, you're in the ER, you're just a med-surg nurse, a surgical nurse, you're working with GI patients, you're working with whomever and whatever. Make sure that you review your materials before you start your job. That way you can have some knowledge of what's going on and you're just not clueless when you're on the floor and just trying to learn as you go. Tip number 2, make sure you carry like a small little notebook with you, or some type of materials that you can use to take notes. Because when I had my preceptor, and she was like, I had the preceptor that was like, I'm not explaining things to you twice, so you better write it down. So I literally had to go to the dollar store. I bought me a little notebook. Actually, it's right here. I'm gonna show you. I bought me a little notebook like this, and she made me write down every single thing. And if I asked her about something, I was like, I forgot how to like print out the lab label. She was like, look in your notebook. I told you to write it down. And I'm like,
okay, whatever you say.
Okay. So make sure that you carry a notebook so that you can always have something to refer to. Even after a year of working and I've been doing things so much, there's certain things that I haven't done in a while, so I had to refer to my notebook and be like, oh yeah, that's how you do that 24-hour urine culture draw, or that's how I'm supposed to put in this order for this and that and the third. Tip number 3, ask questions, guys. Ask questions.
I got questions.
Never be that, you don't want to be that new grad that goes in there and you're afraid to ask questions. And you're like, what do you mean? Like, for me, sometimes I know it feels like, man, I ask that question all the time, but I just still don't get it. Keep asking that question until you understand. Even if it's something so simple as something so small. Like, I would ask questions so much because you don't want to be that new grad that goes in and makes a mistake. I would rather you, and probably your preceptor, your patient, everyone would rather you ask a question if you're unsure about something, so that you will know how to do it, instead of questioning yourself like, is this how I'm supposed to put this Foley cap in? And then you go in there and you mess up, and how your preceptor's upset, your patient's upset, everyone's upset, when you could have just asked how to do something and done it right the first time, and we wouldn't have had any problems.
I got another question.
For me, I knew that my preceptor, she really didn't like answering questions a lot. Every time I asked her the same things over and over again, because I just really did not understand it. But I found someone on my unit who was very open to help me and with anything that I needed, or any questions that I may have, whether dumb or very good questions, whatever. Every question is a good question. She was there to help me. So I would be like, hey, do you know how to do this? Or I don't remember how to do this, or this and that. Because sometimes my preceptor, she would tell me things so fast I didn't have a chance to like write everything down, so I would kind of be missing some steps, but I would get like the general idea of where to find the information that I was looking for. So don't be that new grad that goes in there and don't ask questions. Please ask questions. I would rather you ask questions than to go in there and make a mistake, because you don't want to make a mistake. Number 4, I know that this is just like really like common sense, but you know, sometimes it happens. Tip number 4 is don't be late. Don't be late to work. At least not dang near within your first year. Don't be late to work, because even during my training, there was some people who would come late to work and they would be like, are you kidding me right now? There's people who gotten fired for coming late to work that I've seen on other previous YouTube videos, just because they were late to work, a couple minutes late or consistently late. Like, don't be that person. If you know that you have a hard time waking up in the morning or getting to work or being where you need to be, then make sure that you set your alarm. If you had to wake up 2 hours early so you can do your makeup, do your hair, do whatever you need to do, then wake up 2 hours early so that you are clocked in on time, if not early, for work. I think when I started with like a PCT, and she just called out for the day, and they was like, oh, you're too new to be calling out, and they were just talking all this crap, and I'm just like,
And
okay. But for me personally, and I think it looks good for the manager, it looks good to, you know, the other nurses you're working with, if you come to work on time. I know that I'm pretty good at being to work on time. There's like the morning people who like to take their lunch, and then they're waiting on the night people to come, and then they get kind of cranky and upset and blah blah blah, and they beyond that, they tell them like, hey, I've seen a nurse go up to another nurse and tell him like, I don't appreciate you coming in late all the time, because I'm hungry and I'm trying to get ready to go to lunch, and I need to give you a report, and you're always late. And I'm just like, so don't be that person. And number 5, this is super duper important as a new grad, because you're new and people are going to try you. Okay, tip number 5 is stick up for yourself. Stick up for yourself. Don't let nobody pin anything on you. Don't let anybody put you down or make you feel like you're less than just because you're new. Whatever the situation may be, stick up for yourself. I've had a couple of times being new to my facility that I've had people blame things on me. So I've literally, for example, had the charge nurse come up to me one day, and she was just like, so why weren't the medications counted on this day? And I was just like, I don't know. Usually I count the medications at the end of the night to make sure that they're done, just because I don't trust other people to make sure that the task is done sometimes. So I'm like, well, I usually am, every time I work, I make sure I'm the one that counts the medication so that they're done. So I was really confused. And one of the other nurses had my back. One of the other new nurses that came in with me, she was like, wait, I don't even remember seeing Kayla working that day. So we look on the schedule, and turns out I wasn't even working that day. And then she was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. The other nurse, we're gonna call him Brad said that you didn't count the medications, which I was like, I guess she had asked Brad, like, you know, who forgot to count the meds or who didn't count the meds, and he said Kayla didn't count the meds. And guess what? Kayla wasn't even clocked in that day. Can you believe it? I was appalled. I was like, what? He blamed it on me, and I wasn't even clocked in that day. And I said, first of all, I said it's the responsibility of the 2 night nurses to make sure that the medications did get counted. So if I just so happened to had not count the meds, it was also his responsibility to make sure that they were counted and not blame it on me. Because if they don't get counted, it's the responsibility of both the 2 nurses working at night, and you need to ask them why didn't the meds get counted. So that, which is unexcusable. Okay, I have more stories to come, but we're gonna save that for another video. But that's an example of sticking up for yourself. Don't let nobody pin no crap on you if you know you didn't do it, because guess who's gonna get in trouble? You. And us new grads, we're not getting in trouble for nobody else's mess. Okay,
nothing left to say, like, period.
So make sure to stick up for yourself. You don't have to be a confrontational person. You don't have to be mean or rude about it. Just politely, respectfully stick up for yourself, because we as new grads, we're not going to tolerate. You're not going to tolerate that, okay? So make sure you stick up for yourself. It will help you out in the long run, because people will see that they can't just use and abuse you, okay? They will use and abuse you. And as new grads, don't let it. Tip number 6, don't be afraid to talk to the doctors, okay? I know that that's just a really big thing, because doctors can be rude, they can be mean sometimes, they can be like, why are you calling me, blah blah blah. But don't be afraid to talk to the doctors. Honestly, I am that nurse. I will tell the doctors everything. And I know it can be kind of annoying to the doctors. I'm sorry for the doctors who's out there watching. I will tell you everything, because guess who don't want the responsibility? Me. I don't want the responsibility. If my patient is coming in saying that, man, I've been having some chest pain and this and that, I know his potassiums is a 6.5. I know it's a 6.5. I know that he's always fluid overloaded, but guess what? And that may be contributing to him having chest pain and all these different types of problems. But guess what Kayla's doing? Hello, doctor. Yes, I have patient such and such here. He is complaining of chest pain, shortness of breath. His potassium is a blah, blah, blah. He came in with 5 kilos over his driveway. Yes, I'm calling. There's also been times where, let me give you another example. There's been times when at the end of a treatment, some of my patients are very tachycardic. And one time, this kind of goes into another thing, but one of my patients was tachycardic, and I called the doctor. Oh, actually, here's a better example of a doctor getting annoyed with me. One of my patients' calcium levels was kind of off, so obviously when the report comes through, we're supposed to inform the doctor about it. So I took it to the doctor. I showed him the lab result. He was just like,
really, nigga?
Kayla, look at this. This is the corrected calcium, this is it, and this is blah blah blah. And I was just like, okay. I could tell he was kind of annoyed, because he was just like, really, like, you went through all that just to show me something that was just kind of irrelevant. Well, it felt relevant to me. And I make sure you talk to the doctors and you tell them, because something that might be like, oh girl, that's nothing to worry about, is something to worry about. Like, for instance, this is a really, really good example of why you should inform the doctors, and don't be afraid to stick up for for yourself and what you believe in, and really talk to the doctors for your patient. One of my patients he just came back from being COVID positive. He just came back. It was his first day. He was very hypotensive, not alert and oriented whatsoever. He was on the other side, so he wasn't my patient at the time, but the text felt like that he shouldn't have received treatment, like he just was not stable enough to be here. When the morning nurse left, I ended up taking over that patient, and he ended up not holding up during his dialysis treatment. He was very hypotensive. We kept giving him fluid. We gave him like a liter of fluid already, which kind of defeated the purpose of him coming to his dialysis treatment today if we were just going to overload him with fluid anyway. So I ended up calling a doctor, because I was just not comfortable with sending the patient home like that. And I kind of explained the situation, and this was the doctor that's just like, send him to the hospital, send him to the hospital, send him to the hospital. So I talked to the family. The family did not want to send him to the hospital, which ended up being a whole thing itself. I called the doctor back again because Kayla is calling the doctor for every single thing. I called the doctor and let them know, call the doctor. And then I ended up just sending the patient out because I felt like that patient shouldn't have been, the doctor shouldn't have allowed the patient to be dialyzed. But with the help of my good communication from me to the doctor, and I called the doctor and told the doctor several times, so everybody was aware. And I wrote a big paragraph, everyone was aware. So guess who that saved? Me. It saved me. So that's why it's important to inform your doctors. Don't be afraid to call them, even if it's at night and they might get upset. You know, at the end of the day, you're not calling them for BS. You're calling them for something that you think is important. So don't be afraid to call them. And one of the last advice I can give is don't underestimate your nursing skills. You went to nursing school, you passed. You sat down, you took your NCLEX, you passed. You have the knowledge, just like any other nurse in this building. You can have the knowledge of a nurse that has been working here for 10, 15 years. You have the knowledge, you're fresh out of nursing school, you know what you're doing, so don't underestimate yourself. There's been times where I was just like, I'm not sure if this is right, and then I'll ask somebody who's more experienced, and guess who ends up being right at the end of the day? Me. Because why? I underestimated myself because I doubted myself and I wasn't sure, and I relied on somebody who had more experience than me because I felt that she had more experience than me. I thought that she knew she knew better, and I ended up knowing. It ended up being me who ended up being right. So don't, you know what I'm saying, don't think you're above it all. You don't need no help. You don't need to rely on nobody. But don't underestimate yourself and think that, I don't think this is right. I don't think this is right. I don't think this is right. Because you might be right. If you're sitting here looking at the EKG scan and you're like, I don't know, man, that rhythm. And then that other nurse is like, oh, girl, we see them all the time. And then your patient ends up freaking code 0 or code blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I was right in the first place. That rhythm did look suspicious to me. Don't underestimate your nursing skills. Don't underestimate yourself. Stick up for yourself, and don't let anybody run over you or anybody make you feel that you are not worth it to be a nurse. Because guess what? You sat there, you passed your NCLEX, so that means, and you have your RN behind your name, so that means you're worthy of being a nurse. Well, that is some of the most important tips that you should know by being a new grad. If you have any questions, don't forget to comment down below. I will answer any questions that you all may have. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, you guys. Subscribe to my channel so I can keep giving you all some great content. Comment down below so I can give you, so that you guys can give me some good feedback and I can know how to better grow my channel. Congratulations to all you nurses out there. I hope you all continue to grow and continue to be the best nurses that you can be, because you can do it. Take these tips and run for it, and you will be an amazing nurse. An amazing nurse. Thank you all for watching my video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Mwah.